The same exact thing that you were trying to avoid thinking about and being sad about will hit you. The same subject, because you Good afternoon, friends. In this video, I want to answer a question, which is, should a biohacker ever actually be sad, or should they intervene to make sure that that doesn't happen? I'm going to give you my opinion in this video, but before I do, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, like the video, and comment on the video for the sake of the algorithm. Now let's get started. The reason I'm making this video, friends, is because I noticed that there's some disagreement of opinion, I think, among subscribers as to what one should do if they're feeling sad. And I thought I'd give my opinion. Maybe it could help some of the younger guys, and otherwise maybe it may help some people understand me a little bit more. First of all, a biohacker can completely alleviate their sadness or anger or displeasure if they want to, but they shouldn't. I'm going to tell you why I think so here, beginning with the subject of life. I feel that in our generation, or in the 20th century especially, and in the 21st century, people around the world have begun to develop a fanciful idea of what life is about. Life is not something that you should live your life and go have fun, and it's not a hedonistic journey. It's not even a way for you to collect the best memories you have. It's true, we all want to optimize our lives. We want to live the happiest lives we can, but life itself is not happy. In fact, there's no such thing as happiness without sadness. While technological improvements and cultural changes may shield younger people from realizing how much pain there is in life, they will eventually know about that pain one day. We all learn about it, even though we're shielded from seeing it in our youths. In fact, there are some philosophers that would say that life itself is suffering. I don't go so far personally, I think that's a little bit ridiculous, but life does include serious pain and suffering, and there are problems with not experiencing it. If you accept that life contains necessary suffering that is tremendous, when you look at somebody that commits suicide, you'll find it to be a dishonorable and cowardly and also stupid and embarrassing way to end your life. Because you really should have been knowing since you were a child that life would be suffering, and that how much you suffer depends on fate, but also on your preparation. And you could have committed suicide as a child, in fact. You could have realized, oh my God, there's so much pain in the future. So this whole thing of, people committing suicide because they go through pain in life, I think a lot of it comes because people don't realize that life is pain. When you know that life contains pain, that impetus to want to check out doesn't exist anymore because you have the right mentality. You know there's pain, but you also know there's meaning, there's love, there's beauty. And instead of becoming nihilistic and feeling that the world is not right and everything goes wrong, you act as an actor in the world to promote what you love, whether it be love and honor and beauty and whatever else, and not promote what you don't love. Because some of the pain that we encounter comes from other human beings. And you can sort of, by your own vote, lessen that in the world. When you commit suicide, you check out and don't help the world whatsoever. And you also fail in your own life. So I feel that this understanding of life as suffering is a little bit valuable and can even be protective. What I do when I'm sad is not go take new medications to alleviate the sadness, or go do hedonistic practices, go out drinking with friends, or use drugs, or date some new girls, or something like that. I don't even use a distraction. You can have distractions that are not drugs also, that can distract you from your life's problems. I completely face the thoughts and feelings that I have. And what I do instead of introducing new techniques is I continue the techniques I've been doing. And because it's very likely for you when you're in that kind of sad or angry phase to potentially lessen your meditation every day or prayer or whatever else you do. I maintain those things and face the feelings that I have, because everything that comes will pass in the end. And because of other reasons, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But there's a second thing I do, which is one of the reasons I realized that people had differing opinions on this subject than me, which is personally, I try to limit my interactions with others when I'm in these kind of phases. And the reason is because I just don't want to bring down others. It's a personal choice. I don't recommend this for everybody, because people who are truly suffering, suicidal or something like that, may really need their friendship group and the support of that group. As we learned in an earlier video, sadness is contagious. Your friends will get sadder because you talk to them, but you will get less sad, and you may need it more than them. So for people that are suicidal and so on, they may not want to do what I do. But that's why this is why I mentioned on Instagram to the people that follow me on Instagram a couple months ago, I received some news that's not very important, but affected my feelings a little bit. And in that phase, I didn't want to talk to people and potentially be impatient with them or potentially rude, especially to a subscriber, just because I'm having a bad day. So what I wanted to do was to distance myself a little bit so that I don't bring down anyone else. That's just my personal choice. What I do is continue the practices I normally do and distance myself from others as much as I can with my responsibilities. Now, let me tell you, if you don't consciously accept and adapt to the new information that you discovered in your life, whatever's making you angry or sad. If you distract yourself with drugs or with people or any other kind of distraction or obsession, you will encounter two things. And I speak about this from personal experience, and I feel quite confident that most people will encounter something similar to this. The first is, it will come back. When you stop being distracted by whatever you're being distracted with, the same exact thing that you were trying to avoid thinking about and being sad about will hit you. The same subject, because you never thought about it properly before. You could stay drunk for 4 years. On the 4th year, that same exact thing that upset you and made you get drunk in the first place will be in your head. You will have never digested it. So that's one thing. But the second thing is that because you never were consciously thinking of what happened, you didn't adapt. Specifically, you didn't adapt in the way you think of the world, in your schema of the world, and you didn't adapt in your behaviors. So what happened that made you sad can happen again from a different source because you haven't changed your behaviors or the way you think about the world. So you're going to have the same thing happen to you again and similar things happen to you again if you're not consciously accepting and adapting to the new information. Now, a final note on suffering. Suffering can make you great. In fact, looking back, I don't think I respect any historical figures, scientists or writers that didn't, or respect a lot, I mean particularly so, that didn't go through suffering in their lives, serious suffering. Most of my heroes from the past, from history, are people who went through very deep suffering. I feel that deep suffering in our lifetimes can create in us a sense of gravitas, of weight, magnitude, also of depth of our understanding. In fact, I believe that sometimes the reason why I understand some subjects better than people that are smarter than me is because I think of them very deeply. And I came to think of things very deeply in my life because of boredom, sadness, loneliness, these kind of things. So suffering can create greatness. What it needs to create greatness is meaning. If you have a reason to suffer, a reason to adapt, accept, and go on, you will find it possible to do so, and you will gain advantages from the suffering that you go through. All you need is meaning. Anyway, friends, my takeaway for this, it's just my opinion, is that if you encounter sadness or anger in life, it's okay to. That doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong with your life. But you should feel that pain, anger, sadness, whatever it is. You should feel it and be there consciously for it. If you are, you will adapt to it, you will accept it and adapt to it, you will change, and that same kind of subject that saddened you won't happen quite as powerfully to you in the future. If you numb your feelings or distract yourself, on the other hand, it'll come back worse, at least in my experience. What I'd love to know is whether you guys agree with me. Have you ever been in this experience before? Have you ever been sad and tried to distract yourself and numbed yourself? How did it go for you? And do you feel that biohackers should have a perfectly happy life all the time? Or do you agree, like me, that we should optimize our happiness, but that sadness is a necessary part of life, and in fact, more importantly, without sadness, there's no happiness and everything else changes. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for bearing with me. This was an opinionated video. I was actually going to make a video today on the mutants that tolerate high altitude living more, and I got a little bit distracted because I was speaking to some people and thought this might be an interesting discussion. Let me know if it is, but we'll continue tomorrow with more on vitamin D and high altitude living. Thank you so much, friends. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.